Good evening. And tonight on Wednesday's Bible study, we looked at Genesis 29. The interesting thing about Genesis 29 is when you compare it with Genesis chapter 24. In chapter 24, Eleazar goes all the way to the very northern Syria to find a wife for Isaac named Rebekah and brings her back. He prays and meets her right by the well, and God blesses. He spends one night with her brother Laban, and the family comes back and brings the wife for Isaac. When you jump forward to Genesis 29, here's Jacob on the run. Jacob, whose name means deceiver, surplanter, he's on the run because his brother's wanting to kill him because he stole his blessing, his birthright. He goes to the foreign land where Rebekah grew up. He meets Rachel at the well. He falls in love. He meets Laban. All seems wonderful. First 20 verses, first 14 verses, he stays with a month, and then he decides to work for Laban. Laban says, what he wants is, I want to marry your beautiful daughter, Rachel. I'm willing to work 7 years. It's a wonderful story up through verse 20. All seems great. You ask yourself, what is missing in those first 20 verses of chapter 29 that is all the way through chapter 24 with Eleazar and Rebekah? What's missing is prayer, worship. Whole different purpose. Eleazar is doing God's will. Angel goes before him. Not so with Jacob. Jacob is running because he's done something wrong. He's a bad guy. He does things wrong. He doesn't seek the Lord. He meets Laban. Well, now Laban has the ability to out Jacob. He works 7 years for Rachel. He pulls a fast one. He slips Leah in there instead. I said, why'd you do that? Well, I have to because of culture and everything. So now he has to work 7 more years. He says, you can't have Rachel till you spend a week with Leah. After he marries Rachel, he then won't have anything to do with Leah. Leah's heartbroken. She's unloved. A lot of emotional stuff going on. Chapter 29, 30. You ought to mark all the verses. Leah feels very unloved. God sees that she's unloved. God blesses her. She has 4 children. When she names her children, she names them that maybe now my husband will love me. Maybe now my husband will appreciate me. Rachel, barren, can't have children. Chapter 30 starts off, she says, if you don't give me children, I'm going to die. And Jacob gets up and says, what can I do about it? It's up to God if you have children or not. She can't have children. So she turns her handmaid over. And same thing that happened with Sarah and Hagar. It's a mess. A baby race ensues. Leah ends up having 6 kids and has boys. And then she has a 7th, Leah. She has a girl named Dinah. The 2 handmaids each have 2 kids. Finally, Rachel has a little boy. And then when she has her second boy, bad things happen. But there's a lot of animosity, a lot of hate going on, a lot of people feeling unloved and everything. But when God says to Jacob, it's time to go back to Israel, the 2 sisters, the 2 wives are on the same page with their husband. It is time to go. They follow the husband. God blesses. Now here's an interesting thing. Which of the 2 wives was he buried with? Jacob was buried with Leah. Rachel dies in childbirth on the way. Benjamin is born. He comes to appreciate Leah. Leah and Rachel come to appreciate each other. They also become people of prayer. God changes his name from Jacob the deceiver to Israel. There's hope. We live in rough times. We make mistakes. Often we live our lives without God. But the good news is there's hope. And God loves us, and he can fix everything if we'll seek his face. That doesn't mean everything goes wonderful. It means he's with us in the middle of it. I hope you know and love the Lord. He can take care of you. This is Pastor. Goodbye.